So, build over behavior. Got more research coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I got more research for y'all. Now, build over behavior is an example of end result thinking. Now, build over behavior is unlike other examples of race theory. This is more of a mindset, a mentality and a mindset, but it's still rhetorical in nature, and black people, or these race hustlers that is, are the ones who still keep stoking the frames of it. But as we know, black folks are always crying and complaining about, crime bills or basically any attempt by politicians to stifle crime. When those attempts impact black folks negatively, they cry racism about it. Again, they assume it's because of racism. And when we talk about such things as, mandatory minimums, in which a black person, they put minimums on sentences as a means to try to stifle high crime rates, or, 3-strike laws, where if somebody commits a crime, we're gonna be tough on them. We're gonna give them limited time. We're gonna give them 3 times, and we're gonna just throw the book at them. Or, heavy policing tactics such as stop and frisk that was implemented in New York. They often cry about the war on drugs and the impact that the war on drugs had on the black community, as well as the '94 crime bill that was basically created by the Clintons. They often say, Hillary Clinton put more, both the Clintons, they put more black people behind bars than anybody. They also say that Kamala Harris in California put black people behind bars, and that Joe Biden was part of the crime bills and stuff. Now, here's a problem with this, is that this is it's a focus on the bill over the behavior, because the reason why these bills exist in the first place is because of the high crime rates. All of these bills, everything I listed, these are all measures to try to stifle high crime rates. So if you stop the high crime rates, there will be no need for any of these measures that the government takes. But yet they still insist upon focusing, instead of focusing on the behavior of the people who are causing the politicians to react. Because remember, the behavior is the problem. These bills are a reaction to the problem. So you want to focus on the reaction, and only focus on the reaction, but you never deal with the behavior of the people in the community who are doing the things that's causing the high crime rates and causing politicians to have to respond. Okay? Now, if you do that, there will be no need for it. So they have no argument there. But then one of the arguments that they'll say, well, even if you deal with the behavior, it's still poverty causes crime. And by the way, I'll put a link in the description addressing poverty causing crime. But if you look at all of these things like the mandatory minimums, they basically use mandatory minimums as a means to stifle crime. Well, how about this? Instead of crying about the mandatory minimums, how about none? Just no crime. Tell black folks to stop committing crime, and mandatory minimums will be irrelevant, nor would they be needed, right? Or 3-strike laws. I always say, regarding 3-strike laws, if you don't strike twice, you can't strike 3 times. And if you can't strike once, if you don't strike once, you can't strike twice. How about we stop striking? You mean to tell me that black people, we must strike, as they say? We must commit crimes, stop committing crimes. And like I said, you can never get to 3 if you don't commit 1. And it's not like it's impossible for black people to live, crime-free lives when we're not out there and running the streets and being criminals. And then we have the war on drugs. They often cry about the war on drugs and how much impact the war on drugs had on the black community. But again, the war on drugs was a result of the drugs. And mostly because of the impact that crack cocaine had upon the black community. That was really the real response of the war on drugs, because crack cocaine was devastating to the black community. Although it wasn't the problem, it just exposed the problem that already existed, that being the destruction of the black family because of the Great Society and third wave feminism. But the war on drugs was only implemented to basically to stifle the negative impact that drugs was having on communities, specifically the black community. And then they talk about we talk about heavy policing and the 94 crime bill. They're essentially the same. They're absolutely the same. I mean, heavy policing was implemented as a means to stifle crime. The 94 crime bill was basically beefed up policing tactics to stifle crime. So if you stop committing the crime, we wouldn't need heavy policing nor the 94 crime bill that's supposed to put all these black people behind bars. And again, no black person was ever put behind bars because of any of these measures. They were put behind bars because they were committing crimes. Now, in closing, I wanted to ask, now, how much impact do you think any of these attempts to try to stifle crime, how much impact do you think they had upon my life? Absolute none. Zero. They had no impact upon me. Okay? And regarding the 94 crime bill, in 1994, I was 21, so I was an adult and fully more than old enough to be basically impacted by the bill. But it didn't impact me. Why? Because I wasn't out there living that life. I wasn't out here committing crimes. Also, I wasn't hanging around those people or living around those people who's living a life. Because even if you are not living a life, if you hang around those people because it's cool and fun, or you live around those people, you can get caught up in the residual effect of them out there living their life. Somebody go out there and do a drive-by, they don't care who they hit. And we know how bad N-words are at shooting. They go out there to do a drive-by, get everybody except for who they with to get. And you hang around those people, you get caught up. So I was not out here living that life, but I was not committing crimes, nor was I surrounding myself around people who were out here committing crimes and living a life. That's why it had no impact upon me. So if it had no impact upon me, it could have no impact upon anybody. If you just don't put yourself in position that it will have impact upon you. And that is, address the behavior. Stop with the behavior. Stop with the bad behavior, the criminal behavior, and none of this stuff will have an impact upon you, whoever you are. So if you ever hear any of these race hustlers crying about the crime, the bills, the crime, the heavy policing tactics, all of these attempts to stifle crime, well, now you know. And in order to have the battle, the problem is the behavior. And as always, y'all, until next time.